Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of how I made $1,000 in 48 hours. Now in part 3 I'm going to be talking about building the email automation. So this is part of a wider playlist. So in the first 2 videos of the playlist I've talked about how I actually built the promotion at a high level. So I gave you an overview, so I encourage you to go ahead and watch that video if you haven't seen it, because it's going to give you a good idea of how I'm actually putting together my promotions. Now the second video in the series I talked about how I actually write the emails. So I went through step by step all of the thought patterns around how I actually construct the emails and then how I actually build them into my own autoresponder. Now in part 3 we're actually going to talk about how I actually build the email automation. Now I'm going to be using something called GetResponse. If you haven't got a GetResponse, it doesn't really matter. It's more about how the actual automation is constructed. But if you have got GetResponse, this is going to be really good for you, because I'm going to show you click for click how I actually put one together. So stick around, I'm going to show you step by step how I actually build an affiliate promotion email automation. So just before we start guys, just a quick introduction. My name is Richard Darby, this is the School of Nomads. If you haven't been over to this channel before, we give you tips and tricks around how you can actually start building a real business online. And guys, if you are interested in that, go ahead and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that I can tell you when I release new videos. And guys, if you're really interested in building a business online, go ahead and check out the links in the description below over to the School of Nomads, and I'm going to take you through it step by step. So the first thing we're going to do is actually jump over to my funnel so I can give you a quick refresher about where we are in this actual promotion. Okay, so here's the funnel that I used in the ATB promotion. This is the same one I showed you in the last 2 videos. Now, just a very quick explanation. This is obviously 2 phases of the launch, so pre-launch and post-launch. And in the last video I showed you how I actually made and wrote these hype emails and the launch emails, and then I put them into GetResponse. So they're waiting for me in GetResponse to actually add the automation, which I'm going to do in this video. Now, again, if you haven't seen the last videos, I would encourage you to go and watch them, but just a very brief overview of what's going on here. These are some promotion emails that I send out around about 5 to 7 days before any kind of launch, and I send one out every single day up until the point of the launch. And on the launch day I send a couple of emails out just reminding people, and then I also do resends. So you're going to see in my automation how I actually automate the resend emails. Now these are resends, are just a reminder of the first email, so there'll be the first email with a different title. So that's the way that this actually works as far as the automation is concerned. Then in each of these emails there's links over to hype videos, which in video 4 I'm going to go through and show you how to make these pages for hype videos. Then they go over to the registration page, then they go over to the webinar, and then if they decide to join ATB, which is the coaching course, they can go ahead and join ATB here. There's also a reminder email that goes out after the webinar to tell people that there is a replay for the actual webinar, and then they can go ahead and see the replay and then again join ATB. So that's the way the whole kind of funnel works. In this video I'm going to be concentrating on this piece here, the emails. So we're going to jump over to GetResponse. Now I am going to use GetResponse to show you how to do this, but if you've got a different type of autoresponder, as long as I've got automations, you can figure out how to use the functionality in the automations, but it's more about the thinking of what's going on here that you can kind of get value from if you watch this video. So here we are over on GetResponse itself. Now GetResponse is the platform I put my emails in. So if I come over here to my drafts, this is where all of the various promotion emails that I showed you in the last video are. So I showed you how to put the first few in last time, and now I've gone ahead and added all of these. Now, just for folks who haven't seen the last video, this 5-1 and 5-2, for instance, what these are is the same content in the emails with different titles, and the -2 or the brackets 2 just means that that's my resend. Okay, so when I'm going through the automation and picking out emails to put as resends, there'll always be bracket 2. So how do you actually do the automation? All I need to do is come over here and hit automation and GetResponse, and then I want to create a workflow. Now it's going to ask me what kind of workflow do I want to create, and I'm just going to build one for scratch, which is here. Now if you have got GetResponse, you can also clone previous workflows to make it easier for yourself and actually adjust them if you wanted to, but I'm just going to start this for scratch just so you can see what I'm doing. So the first thing you need to do is give it a name. So I'm going to call this September ATB promotion, just so that I know which one it is when I go back to my list of workflows. And then it's going to ask you how you want it to actually start. Now, you can start this in a number of ways. You can have an automation that starts when someone subscribes to a certain list, when somebody clicks a link, when someone opens a message, has some kind of special occasion you program into the system, updates a custom field, is sent a particular message, is copied to a list, is moved to a list, updates some kind of consent status that you have, or visits a landing page. And there's some tagging options here as well. You can go ahead and if they have tags assigned, for instance, on here, they can actually start this automation. But just to keep this simple, there is some more options down here for e-commerce. I don't really use them, but just to keep it simple, I'm going to go ahead and say once they are sent a message, which is my initial message about the promotion, I want them to be part of this automation and actually start going through it. So let's pick that option, and you'll see up here now, the very first thing you see is whenever any message is sent. Now I'm going to tell it exactly what message to send. But first I want to go through the elements. Now on the right hand side, these are the elements that go into your workflow so that your automation actually works. Now again, the elements on the right hand side, the actual sheet here is the one that you build your automation in. So if I bring any of these across, you'll see that immediately it asks for what kind of options have I got for this particular element, and I need to go and fill those in, and it just builds up like that. So I'm going to get rid of that one. At the top here, you've got some basic conditions. You have some subscribe, buyer, click, link, special occasion, the conditions that you saw on the last page. Then you have some tags and scorings here, some e-commerce options here. And then you really have some of the basic actions. Now these are actions that people take that really lead to various other things happening in the automation. And you'll see this become clear as I start building them. And then you've got some various filters down here. Again, we're not going to use any of these. We're going to keep this automation very simple. The simpler you can have your automation, the more chance it is of actually working. Because if you start adding lots of different tags and lots of different options within the automation, then things can go wrong very quickly. So we're going to have this very simple. So this very first message, whenever any message is sent, I already have a message in here called test 1, and if I click on that, I want to tell it what message I want it to send. So you have some various options here around where your messages are. Now this test 1, I've already sent it previously, so it's going to be in my automation messages. But you'll also have an option here, if you've done this for the first time, of drafts. So if you see drafts, that's really what you need to click, and that's really going to give you a list of emails within that particular category. Now this is an automation message. I'm going to say I want to pick a specific one there, and that tells the system I want to go looking for a specific message. And then I want to go ahead and look at this test 1 broadcast list promotions. Now that test 1 now, once that's sent and once I send that out manually, straight away, whoever I've sent that to becomes part of this automation. Okay, so this is just the very first message that's been sent. Now the very first thing I want to do is I want to wait for 1 day before I actually kick my automation off. So if I just go back to the actual funnel, these are the emails that I'm going to send from now on after that initial one. And that's email 1, email 2, then I've got an email 3 in my case, then I've got a couple for the launch. So in my case, I've got 5. And I want this to be spread over 5 days. So the duration between this one and this one is going to be a day. This one and this one will be a day, and then once it gets to the launches, they're about 4 hours. Now, my resend ones are actually going to be sent 6 hours after the initial email. Now, as I said before, I have 2 emails that are the same, but they just have different titles. So these are going to be a day, and these are going to be 6 hours. Now, this will become clear when I show you the actual automation and how this is actually built. But this is obviously so that if anybody who missed this initial email will very quickly get another email with a different title in there, and then they'll become part of this sequence again, and they'll be getting more emails from me. So let's have a look how this is done in the automation. So I set the first one off, which is test 1. I want to wait for 1 day, and then I want to actually start sending my first of my emails. What I do is I come back here, and then I want to send a message. Now this message is my first of my emails. Now the way that I pick that is by clicking on it, coming over here, and you'll see there's various options. The top drop down is actually the list that your particular message is in. Now when you first do this, if you've put all of your messages in draft, you'll find all your messages under this draft tab here. Now, I've already used some of these messages in previous videos, so some of mine are in the automation tab. So it's just a case of understanding very clearly the sequence of your messages, and then you can go ahead and start filling them into this automation, which is why in the last video I stressed a lot about writing down and having a list of your emails and making sure that once you enter them into something like GetResponse, you have a very clear way that you number them so that you can see what sequence they're in. So I know this is going to be an automation, so I want to go and find that email. So my first email is ATB promotion 1 bracket 1. So that's the very first email I want to send. So I've waited 1 day, and they're going to now go ahead and get sent that message. So when you send someone a message, the first thing you want to know is, has it been opened? So you have an element over here that says when any newsletter is open. So what I want to do is say when that message is open. So again, I click on it, you see the options come up over here. I go to automation, I find that message again. I want to find a specific message. I select the message, and I want to know, has this one been open? And you always attach each one of these elements together, and that's the way that the automation kind of flows. And once this starts and people go into it, you actually see numbers here. It's like a living thing, and you see numbers of people going from one step to the other, which is quite cool, right? So this is the first part of the automation. Now this condition has got kind of two options. Has it been opened or hasn't been opened? What do you do if it has? What do you do if it hasn't? So I'm going to tell it what to do if it has to start with. And the first thing I want it to do is wait. And I want it to wait for another day. And I say yes, so I attach that to the yes, wait for 1 day. And then after 1 day, I want it to be sent message number 2. So again, I bring this message down, find message 2, which in this case is going to be in my drafts, 2 with a 1 bracket, apply that, and then I send this message 2. So if I didn't have any kind of resends, my automation would be as simple as that. I would literally just say wait for 1 day, send this message, wait for another day, send this message. I wouldn't need this. Wait for another day, send this message, and then finish the automation. But we have resends, and there's a good reason why we have resends. So the reason I put this condition in here is that if people do not open this initial message, I want to send it again. So all I need to do is, again, come over here and send a message and select the message to send. Now in this case, this is my 1-2 message. Now this is the message, as I said, that has the same content but a different title. So if I click that, you'll end up seeing promotion 1, 2 brackets. I bring that over here and I attach that there. So anybody who hasn't actually opened it will come and be resent this. And then I attach that back into this part of the automation. Now they immediately flow back into here whether they open that or not. So how do we kind of determine when to send somebody another email if they don't open the first? So if I click on this at the bottom here, there's actually a very, very specific way that you can resend these. So you can tell the system never to send something if they don't open. You can tell the system after a certain amount of time it needs to send another message. So in this case, it's set at 1 day, but I don't want it after 1 day because it will clash with this message here. I only want it to be sent after 6 hours. So all I need to do is come down here and actually send it after 6 hours. Now this says 6 hours 30. I'm just going to be very specific and say 6. And on all of these elements, you've always got the option to change the color. So if I wanted this to be yellow and that ATB promotion 1 to be yellow, I could change it to yellow, send it to purple. It doesn't really make a difference. So what's going to happen here is, based on this automation so far, I'm going to send out that initial email manually. Everybody waits for 1 day, then they start this first email, which is ATB promotion 1-1. I have an option here that says, has it been opened yet? Yes or no. If it hasn't been opened after 6 hours, they get sent another email, which is ATB September promotion 1-2. And they flow back into this sequence. And then after a day, after this one has been sent, they'll wait for 1 day and they'll get sent the second email in the sequence, which is this one. They'll get sent that email in the sequence, and then pretty much we start again. So we start the whole automation again. So I'll just do one more with you, and then I'm actually going to build this out and take you through the whole thing. So again, we sent a message. So the first thing I want to know is, has it been opened? And you can see how easy this is just to drag and drop. Always attach these to make sure that they are actually part of the automation. If it has been opened, I want it to wait. So I come across here and find my wait and bring that down. And I'm keeping it simple by waiting for 1 day. But again, you can click this and you see on the right hand side, there's very specific actions you can wait for. You can wait until, or you can wait until a very specific time. And then there's days of the week you can wait. On the specific time, you could got a full calendar and specific calendar days, specific actual times in the day. So, you know, it's very, very powerful as far as how you can actually program it to send emails. But I just want to wait for 1 day to keep this simple. Again, don't forget to actually attach this. And then obviously I need to tell it what newsletter, as they call it, you're actually trying to monitor here. So I want to go to my automation and I want to find ATB promotion 2-1. So specific email 2-1. Once you start using them, they'll come on this list very quickly. Now, if they don't actually open this, I wanted to send this a repeat, which is 2 brackets 2. So again, I send another message. It would actually be in my drafts because I haven't used it before. And then I attach that there. Make sure this is set to 6 hours. Again, at the bottom here, take the day off and then make sure it's set to 6 hours later. And then reattach that back into the main automation so that they all become part of this automation. So you'll see now, I'll just make this a little bit smaller. You'll see now that basically this is just flowing the same way every time. Send a message, wait 6 hours, send another one if they don't open it, come back, wait 1 day. After that 1 day, you then send the next message, which is going to be ATB September promotion 3-1. So on this row, you should always have your main emails. On this row, you should always have your repeat emails. And you can have it anywhere around. This doesn't really matter where you put it. But essentially, you just want to make sure it's very clear to you which emails are which. So this is why I like to actually put it like this. So I'm going to go ahead and build the rest of this quickly. And then I'm going to come back and explain to you how you actually finish an automation like this. Okay, so I've actually programmed in my 4 promotion emails. Now these are the emails that I do prior to the launch. Now there is 2 more that I do on the day of the launch that I want to just show you because it also incorporates how I actually finish the automation. So what I do here is come back to the top here. And guys, just an aside here. I know this looks like it's really repetitive, but number one, this is kind of what you got to do when you're building automations for your business, and this is really how it works. And number 2, once you've done it, you can also copy this across. Or if you want to have different lists that actually start this off, or different ways to actually start this off, all you need to do is come up here and actually add a way. So let's say you had a different type of message that you sent and you wanted those folks to go through the same automation afterwards. All you would need to do is add that up here and actually attach it to the automation here. So when this message is sent, for instance, they would also go down this automation if it was for a different thing, or they subscribe to a list. Again, you would bring this up here. Say you had a list that if you subscribe to that list, you go down this particular automation, you attach that in the same way to this automation. So you can either copy the automation and change it slightly, or you can add various ways that people can come in here and actually join it. So it's very flexible the way that you can use these automations. I'll take them off so I don't confuse myself because I'm actually going to use this in about a month's time. So send that first message, wait for 1 day, send the initial promo 1 message. Has it been open? Yes or no? If it hasn't been open, I send the initial promo bracket 2 message. Everybody waits for a day. This is 6 hours, as I said, 6 hour gap. Everybody waits for a day. Come down and say, okay, let's send them ATB promotion 2 message. Has it been opened? No. 6 hours later, I send it again. Yes. Come down and wait for a day. Promo 3 message. Again, has it been sent? No. 6 hours later, they get the 3- or bracket 2 message. Everybody waits for a day. Comes down here. Promo 4 message. And then has it been opened? Yes or no. If it hasn't been opened, they go ahead and get another one, and then they wait for a day. And that's really the promotion messages, but that's spread over 4 days. And as I said, in my last video, there is various things that get done in those particular messages. Some of it is talking about the product itself and some of the specifications, for instance, or what the benefits are of the product. And other messages are more specifically about maybe bonuses, that in the Advanced Traffic Blueprint, we give away lots of bonuses for attending the actual workshop, and I tell people about them. So there's different things that get discussed within those emails. Now, it's better to kind of spread it out because people can consume that information a lot better if they get it in smaller chunks rather than try and throw everything at them. So here we go, we're at the bottom of this automation now. So this is launch day. So I ended this sequence on wait for 1 day, but what I actually want to do, because I want to send the next message out on the day of the webinar, I actually want a very specific time for that. So for the next message I'm going to send, which is just 2 messages that I'm not actually going to send a reminder on, I want to have a very specific day and time. So I just come down here to wait specific day and time. I want to give it a very specific time in September. So this is going to be September the 7th, and I want to give it a time that's going to reflect Eastern Standard Time. So this is going to be British time at the moment. I can change it to Eastern Standard at a later date, but I know at 1:30 is around 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. So I'm going to wait till that time to send out my next message. So I'm going to tell it I want to send another message. Come down here and actually send a message. I'm going to tell it exactly what message to send, which in this case is in my drafts, which I'll just go and find the message. So that's the message I'm going to send, and then I'm just going to wait for another few hours. Again, I want a very specific time to send this one. Wait to a specific time. Again, pretty quick to actually pick the time, and now I'm going to say -5 hours. I'm actually going to say I want to send one out about 2, which is going to be 7 o'clock my time. So again, this can be a little bit fiddly, guys, because obviously you're trying to translate it with your own time zones, but just write it down and you can figure it out. So let's just say 7:20 just for speed. And I'm going to send that at 7:20. And this is now going to be the last email I actually send, is going to be the final, hey, the webinar is happening now type email, just to remind people and give them very specific information about the webinar so they don't miss it. Again, go to drafts, find the email, and then that's it. That's the last one. Now, I make sure that's attached. And remember, look, I've got no repeats on this one, so there's nothing over here. So basically what I've done is I've finished off the promotion. I've said wait until this specific time, send out the launch day email that says the webinar's today, wait for a specific time, send out another reminder of that email, and then stop. Now, how do I stop? Now, in this case, there's a number of ways I can actually stop. I can actually tell it to kind of copy it to a list or move to a different list once they've stopped. I'm going to tag them. So I want to tag them with a very specific tag, which tells me that they've finished this promotion. So if I select a tag, I can actually tag them something specific. So I'm going to say ATB September done. So they'll be tagged with ATB September done, and then that'll be the end of the automation for them. Now, as you saw there, I had ATB July done. Now that's quite powerful because that can tell me of all of the folks that went through the actual July promotion, who they are in my list. So I can see who's been through this before. And I can either exclude them or include them. It depends what I'm actually promoting. If I promoted a certain product to them before, which again I think they won't be interested in, I took that off for some reason, which again I think they might be interested in, I can exclude people with that particular tag when I start the promotion, but I don't need to on this one. So that's the whole automation built. And basically what I've done, just as a reminder, is I built the automation that allows me to send emails, resend them, send the second email, resend it, send in another email, resend it, and then send a couple of emails for launching the actual product. So in the next video, I'm actually going to show you this piece of the entire funnel. I'm going to show you the hype pages and show you how I do the hype pages, and then show you the hype videos themselves, and just kind of go over the way that I film my hype videos so that you can replicate this if you have a promotion that you want to do like this. Now, you don't have to do video when you do these kind of pages. You can just as well write an article. I just prefer to do videos because to me it's quicker than writing articles down. So this is what's going to be explained in video 4 of this series. So guys, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Again, that was all about how to build the email automation. Part 4 is going to be about making the hype videos and pages. So look out for that. Make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell so that I can let you know when I actually release that video. And guys, if you are interested in building a business online, go ahead and check out the link in the description below over to the School of Nomads, and I'm going to take you through the whole process step by step. Until next time guys, take care.